Hi, I'm Tristen Law, and WWE did not bamboozle me, scam me, or trick me. I did it to myself, and you did too. I did a whole WWE Backlash prediction show. I sat there trying to crack the code. I heard John Cena had an announcement, and I started thinking bigger. I heard Danhausen had a mystery partner, and my wrestling brain started building a whole entire conspiracy board. CM Punk, Jelly Roll, somebody huge, somebody major, something that changes the show. And then Backlash happened, and I had to ask myself a very uncomfortable question. Did WWE fool us, or did we fool ourselves? Welcome to Pro Wrestling Quickie. I'm Tristen Law, semi-retired pro wrestler and your host. You don't have much time, and neither do I. So let's have a quickie. Let's be honest. This is what wrestling fans do. This is what we do. We hear the word surprise or mystery, and in our brains, we automatically work for the WWE and help Triple H book Raw and SmackDown. We hear mystery partner, and suddenly everybody becomes an FBI agent. We hear special announcement, and now we're acting like John Cena is about to reveal the future of the entire wrestling business. Well, he did say something like that before. And I'm not saying that like I'm above it, because I did it too. I'm guilty. I did it on my own show, the Tristen Law Show, which is live on YouTube a few times per week. I suggest that you check it out. I heard John Cena had an announcement at Backlash, and I started wondering what it could be. Was it about his retirement tour? Was it about his next match? Was it about WrestleMania 40-something? I'm starting to lose count. Was it something bigger? Then Danhausen had a mystery partner, and the internet did exactly what the internet already does. It started filling in the blanks. We turned into Google. We turned to ChatGPT, and that's where the problem starts. Because somewhere between speculation and showtime, wrestling fans start to do this dangerous little magic trick. We turn what if into it better be. We start with what if it's CM Punk? Then by the time the segment happens, somehow it becomes it better be CM Punk. But WWE never told us that. WWE never promised us CM Punk. WWE never promised us a Jelly Roll. WWE never promised that John Cena's announcement was going to change the world. John Cena did that on his own on social media. But we did that. That was us. That was the internet. That was the prediction culture. And yes, that includes people like me who do shows about this stuff. The Danhausen thing is the cleanest example, because the Minihausens were not really the problem. As entertainment, it was fine. It was ridiculous. It was goofy. It was very Danhausen. It fit the character Hausen. It was an entertainment match. If WWE had simply told us Danhausen about to do something absurd at Backlash, I think a lot of people would have received it differently. But when you frame it as the mystery partner, the curiosity part of our brain changes the category. Now, we're not watching a comedy bit. We're waiting for the reveal. Now, the question is not, is this entertaining? It becomes, who is it? And that's where WWE gets themselves into trouble. Because the second the question becomes, who is it? The answer has to beat the entire imagination of the entire internet. And that's almost impossible. The Minihausen came out and went back into the box. And I know I wasn't the only one thinking, okay, that was the fake out. That was the bamboozle. That was the scam. Now here comes the real surprise. That's not because WWE promised me a real one. That's because wrestling has trained us to think that way. The internet has trained us to think that way. Prediction shows like the one that I do have trained us to think that way. And honestly, being a fan has trained us to think that way. That is the part that's fun. I don't want to kill fantasy booking. I'm not saying don't fantasy book. I don't want to kill speculation. I'm not telling you not to speculate what's going to happen. I don't want y'all sitting there like robots waiting for WWE or some pro wrestling company to tell you how to feel. Fantasy booking is fun. Guessing is fun. Arguing about what's going to happen is fun. That's a whole part of the experience. But fantasy booking is supposed to be a playground, not a contract. And that's where we jack it up. That's where we mess it up. We create a version of the show in our heads, then get mad at the real show for not being that version. That's not analysis anymore. That's disappointment we've built ourselves. Cena's announcement falls into the same category. When you say John Cena has an announcement, it feels big because it's John Cena. Fans are not going to think small. They're going to automatically start thinking, is this about his unretirement? Is this about another match? Is this about a major opponent? Is this about WrestleMania? And by the time Cena actually speaks, the announcement is not just competing with the segment anymore. It's competing with every theory, fans created before John Cena ever opened his mouth. That's the danger of selling curiosity. Because when WWE leaves empty space, internet is just going to fill it. And the internet does not fill empty space with reasonable expectations. The internet fills empty space with the biggest possible version of the thing. That's why Pat McAfee at WrestleMania fits into this conversation too. I'm not going to spend a whole episode on that, but it's the same pattern. WWE creates the feeling of surprise. Fans start asking, who could it be? The internet starts building the biggest possible reveal. Then when the reveal happens, people judge it against the version they created, not the thing WWE actually promised. And that brings me to the WWE's responsibility. They are accountable because WWE is not innocent here. They know the game. They know exactly what happens when they say mystery partner. They know exactly what happens when they say special announcement. They know what happens when they tease a surprise in this era. The moment they create the mystery box, prediction culture takes over. YouTube takes over. Twitter takes over. Reddit takes over. Podcasts take over. I take over. And by showtime, the actual reveal is fighting an opponent that cannot pin. So WWE is not innocent, but this time, they might be the least guilty person in the room. Because they never told us that it was CM Punk. They never told us that it was Jelly Roll. They never told us John Cena was about to change the business. John Cena did that all on his own. We told ourselves that. WWE lit the match and we poured gasoline on it. And that's the part that fans have to own. It's okay to speculate. It's okay to predict. It's okay to fantasy book. I would rather us fantasy book than have somebody come in and spoil the real outcome before it happens. Because fantasy booking, it lets us dream. Spoilers turn the dream into a memo, but we have to keep the dream in its proper place. A theory is not a promise. A rumor is not a guarantee. A prediction is not a spoiler. And a mystery is not automatically a major moment. That's the lesson here that we have to learn. Fans need better expectations. WWE needs better framing. Because WWE's biggest problem is not always the surprise itself. Sometimes it's the way they sell the surprise. The question shouldn't be, who is it? The question should be, why does it matter? That's the difference between a surprise that pops the room for 10 seconds and a story that moves forward. If Danhausen's segment works as entertainment, let it be entertainment. If Cena has something to say, make the importance clear without making fans feel like we need to solve a puzzle. If you're going to use the mystery box, make sure the answer can survive what the internet is going to do to it. Because the internet will always make it bigger. Always. That is where wrestling fandom lives now. We don't just watch the show anymore. We pre-watch it, we preview it, we predict it, we debate it, we fantasy book it, then the show finally happens, and sometimes we're not reacting to what we saw. We're reacting to what did not happen. And that's how we set ourselves up for failure. That's how I set myself up for failure. I bamboozled myself. And honestly, I'll probably do it again. That's the part of being a wrestling fan. But the balance has to be better. Fantasy booked, predict, argue, have fun. Just do not confuse your theory with their promise. And WWE, if you're going to keep selling mystery, make sure the payoff can survive the internet. Because the bar is this. A surprise should add to the show. It should not have to save the show from our imagination. Wrestling is better when the surprise serves the story, not when the story is just sitting around waiting for the surprise. I'm Tristen, and that's your Pro Wrestling Quickie.